Hello, fans of Redwood. This is your new host today. This is Samuel Johnson, and Angelo threw the reins over to me. I appreciate all of you being here, and if you haven't been with us, welcome. And today we were just having a conversation right before recording, where we were talking about connecting with your kids and what it costs. My kids are older than Angelo's right now. I have a son who is uh, 19. I was gonna say he was younger, but he is 19. And my daughter is 16. Angela, your daughter is 4.
She'll be 4 real soon.
So we were talking about the connection and how to do that. And so I was just saying, like, man, I want to share this story. And I said, I think we should share this. Now I've got to recall, I got to remember this story that I wanted to share.
Well, you did such a great job on the intro. I know I threw that at you, and you handled it great.
Is that okay? Did I use my radio voice? Did that sound sultry?
I was like, man, these Pennsylvania boys got something in the water for sure.
We got it. It's us and all the Amish, because that's all they have is radio. So
right, I'm not surprised you're so good at it.
That's right. So let me see. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll give you a second to kind of recollect your thoughts.
Yeah.
We were talking about, like you said, we're talking about connecting with our kids, because I just asked Samuel, like, we were having a meeting before this, and we had a different, another topic we were going to talk about on the podcast this morning. But then we started getting into this. I asked him, like, how often do you connect with your kids? Obviously, now when your kids are younger, like mine are, you're with them all the time. So it's kind of easier to be around them, right? But as they get older and they start having their own activities, that's kind of what spurred the thought. And I asked him, how often are you able to really connect with your kids?
Yeah. And so I honestly, I blanked on the story. We'll see if it comes back. It was throwing me into that. I should have wrote it down, but it was throwing me into that introduction. But I do have an idea here. I want to connect. There's a rhythm to it as your kids get older. That was something we were discussing. So my son is in college, and there are times when I remember this story. There are times when I want to invest in that deeply, and then there are times when I have to learn to respect him as a young adult. There are seasons when he's in finals or test season, and there was a season that he went through recently at school that was very challenging for him, and I want to respect his privacy about that. But just there was a season where I was like, okay, I need to respect him and give him his space. And for a dad, for a mom, that's really hard. It's really, really hard. But I think it's so valuable, so important to learn restraint with your children too, to respect them floundering and struggling on their own. And he was going through a very difficult time, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna let him do this. Angelo, and about working out and fitness, and you aren't going to grow unless you fail. You aren't going to grow unless you go to muscle failure, right? And sometimes, out of love, we will stunt our children's growth. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that with my son. So there are times where I am holding back and restraining myself from connecting with him. And it's hard. My wife and I both talked about that, because she wants to talk even more. And we only live 30 minutes from where they go to school. And my wife loves this one coffee shop in town. We tease all the time that we're just going to show up on his, because he's on first floor, and so we're just going to show up and hey, how are you? We would never do that, but we tease about it. But right?
I'm not his dad. I'm his frat bro.
That's right. Yeah. I think the white hair would give it away. For sure. But yeah, that's one piece. But here's the story I wanted to say, that I was talking about, this way in which people today connect with texting and phones, which is great, or FaceTiming, and that's a funny story too. But my parents and we didn't connect much, but I do remember this story. I was because it was a different time, and we had phones, right? We called. I remember, and wrote letters, but I remember my early on in school, and I was telling my mom about all the amazing things I was doing and all the fun I was having. And I could tell she was like not into it, not having it. And I said, what's going on, Mom? What's happening? And she started like not bawling, sobbing, but crying a little bit. And she's like, "You're having so much fun. You don't even miss me." I just thought it was funny, but I said, "Of course I miss you, Mom." And I was the last one out of the house, so my mom was absolutely going through empty nest. It was very hard for her to, and that transition, I don't think we talk enough about either, when your kids leave home and when they're all out of the house. But it's one other piece.
I mean, that's one of my friends, one of my really good buddies, Ron. He shared this really interesting stat with me. He said 80% of your time spent with your kids is before the age of 18.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And because he's got grown kids, his kids actually he's a grandpa now.
Yeah.
I talked to him like I talk with you, like a homie, and he's telling me, he's like, yeah, like I barely get to see them now.
Right.
It's holidays and birthdays and all that, sure, but it's not the same as when they're living under your roof. Like 80% of that time is gone. So then, I think about it, okay, Lana's going to be 4 this summer. So, I use this analogy all the time, and it's so humbling. And I think people need to do this more. It's like, okay, if my kids are, let's say 4 right now, and I have 80% of the time that I'm going to have with them, I'm spending 80% of that time before they turn 18. So I have potentially 14 summers left.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? I'm like, I feel like this just got started. You're telling me 14 left?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
So it's like, when you put it in that perspective, time is such a huge factor.
I wanted to highlight a book that our church went through, and it's called Parenting by the Stanleys, Andy and his wife. This one piece that I want to highlight is parenting doesn't stop when you're 18, and your time with your kids from 0 to 18 is what sets up, are they going to want to come back and visit you? Are you creating a home? Are you creating a place that is welcoming, inviting, fun, enjoyable, comforting, etc.? I just loved that concept, because most people are like, okay, get them out, get them out, get them out. Well, is that the message you're sending? Get out of here. So, are you creating an environment that welcomes your kids back?
It's one thing to get them out, but then later on, when you have oh my gosh, I miss them.
That's right.
Do they even want to come back in?
That's right. Yeah. So
that's such a great perspective. Yeah. Especially, I know there's a lot of parents that listen to this show, and a lot of these parents have kids ranging from late teens into toddlers and brand new parents. So there's such a wide variety of people that the message is going to link to, because whether they're young or whether they're old, there's a nugget here that you need to take away, because there's all these different perspectives. Like if they're young, obviously you want to stay connected and you want to make sure you built that foundation before they get older. And if they're older, okay, well, have you set them up to even want to come back to the nest? Are you going to be the type of parent that they want to embody in some way when they become parents?
Right.
Or I don't want anything to do with my dad.
Yeah. And this piece too, I was just thinking about one of the transition pieces too is when your kids are little, they look up to you, hopefully, right? They look up to you and they see the things that you're doing and they're cool. And there comes a time where they don't think the things that you're doing are cool. And, we have to become okay with that. And that shift for me happened when I started thinking that the things my son was doing are interesting. And it's so important, right? I'm not a computer person. My son loves computers. He loves hardware. We have a running joke about because I'm thick in Gen X, so Terminator, iRobot, the whole thing. So I'm prepping for when the computers are taking over. So I'm always talking to him, keep me informed, tell me when the robots are and he just rolls his eyes. But the thing here is my son would play video games and they were pulling him from me. right? And I used to resent it. And so what I did was I shifted. And I said, tell me more about these games you're playing. I'm not a gamer. I've never been. I'm not good at games. Like my brother was much better at video games. But I entered into my son's life. And by the way, that it is so, so crucial when they make that shift from childhood into like preteen and teen, where they're finding their path, enter into their world and start finding way. Because like we can be like, oh, they don't want to play ball with us anymore. They don't want to, because like I'm a runner and I I'm a fitness guy, and my son just isn't. He's not interested in that at all. That's not his thing. He and I could like have forced him, and he would have resented that. And I tease him all the time, like, okay, I'll get you up at 4:30, and we can go to the garage and start working out. And he's like, and it's teasing, but the point is, if you want to be connected to your kids, enter into their world. Don't try to force them into yours.
I love that. And as we wrap this up, I love how short and quick this one
Mhm.
is. The question now becomes is what's that going to cost you? Because in order for us to really be intentional with and focus on one thing, it's going to mean we take away some attention and focus from something else. What's it going to cost us? What's it going to cost me to be more intentional about connecting with my daughter while she's young? And you and I have talked about, dating our kids,
Yeah.
not in the weird way that all these folks are, some of these folks are doing.
Disclaimer on this
Disclaimer
podcast.
on that part. We're actually trying to save kids from that.
Mm-hmm.
um, really, like, all jokes aside, but being intentional about connecting with your
Yeah.
kid and getting to know who they are as they grow. Because just like you said, that transition with preteen into teen, there needs to be that
Yeah.
relationship.
Well, if you haven't, and if I can just throw this out, because it
Yes.
could be a new concept for people. So when we're talking dating your kids, what we're talking about is like, because I have a daughter, and I date my son too, but I'm trying to teach her when we're dating, this is what a man is. This is how you would connect with a person. And like it's not like relating or connecting on an intimate level. Just saying, like, showing your daughter and your sons, this is what a man is, and this is how he relates to people one on one. And are you being a person that your kids would want to marry, especially your daughters, right? If you're a man, and vice versa if you're a woman. Is that who you're being with?
That's so good. That's so good. I think we're gonna have to go
Yeah.
deeper into this because there's a lot of insights that I want to dive into. We'll save that for next week.
All right.
We'll save
Love
that for
for it.
next week. I appreciate you, brother. Great job on the intro.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. I'm looking forward to hearing some of the insights that you guys got from this short, quick, right to the topic conversation. And the question is, what's it going to cost you to be that type of parent? What's it going to cost you to be the man that your daughter eventually will look for? What's it going to cost you to be the man that your son will eventually emulate as he grows and becomes his own man?
Great stuff.
What's it going to cost you? I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.